Hello, fellow family, brothers, sisters. Whether you call yourself a mother, father, husband, wife, a son, or a daughter, or some kind of other. I have something sitting with me today that is relevant for everyone. It stems from a deep seated connection, not the idea of connection, not a fanciful, whimsical, strictly conceptual notion of connection, but rather it's an actual deep sense of reverence, a visceral connection, something that we intuitively all feel, or that we all can feel. Thus, I want to express, or rather, this organism wishes to express something that is of practical relevance. It's relevant as it sits in my heart today. So I say this because I wish to broadcast it to the world and whoever may view it, as I know it's been a benefit for this one, that deep-seated connection. Now, a good question to ask is, what on earth has detached us, some of us? What on earth has gotten in the way of us feeling that connection, of us feeling as if we're segregated from the world around us? Most of us will likely say, hey, I love being in nature. I love getting out in nature. But how many of us will say, I am nature? I am an expression of nature. By letting go in absolute faith and trust, everything that you have labeled yourself after those infamous words, I am, you can effectively realize that you are the awareness beneath all that, beneath all those labels, beneath all those concepts and inferences and speculations and notions about being a segregated personal identity. You can see that you are eternally one with all that surrounds you in the form of nature. You are the awareness that is aware of all the thoughts and emotions that surface in your consciousness. For if you are aware of the thoughts, you are aware that you're John, or you're Jane, you're a sister, or your brother, or you're an American, or you're a doctor, whatever it is. If you are the one that's aware of all those labels and all those words and all those concepts, then clearly you're not those concepts because you're the one that's aware of them. You're the awareness that is equally present everywhere. It's the self same awareness, self with the big S, that is in back of every entity you meet, every human being, whether it be another person, it could be an alien, an animal, whatever the label. It's that self same awareness that is in back of all you meet. It's that awareness that's lovingly aware, not angrily or skeptically aware. It's lovingly and peacefully and harmoniously aware of all that befalls you in the outer world and in the inner world. Every single thought and emotion, and every single subjective experience, that which you witness, is witnessed by this self-same awareness. If I were to take you and a tree seedling and place it under a tree, let's say we put a camera up above and it's a time-lapse camera, and we witness them growing from seed to human being, from semen to full-fledged human being, right? From seedling to tree. And you watch that over time. Now, of course, when you were a baby, you were aware of all that surrounds you. However, the self hadn't been formed yet. Now, when I say the self, we can say the self is a collection of memories and ideas and concepts and a sense of personality, really. That's what I mean by the word self. So, as a baby, the self hadn't been formed yet. It was simply lovingly and peacefully and harmoniously aware of its own existence and everything around it. And slowly and steadily, as that baby grew up and to be a full-fledged human being, it started collecting experiences. And if we're not careful, we can allow those experiences to stick to us, and we can identify with them. And we can confuse them as our identity, something which happened in the past. Something which has nothing to do really with where we are right now. And the baby doesn't get caught up in that predicament, that seeming predicament. Not really predicament. Of course, we can be lovingly aware of memories that we've shared with others, but we need not confuse that as our true identity, that which where we are now is an extension of nature. Now, say, instead of you as a baby, we put a petri dish with fungi next to the tree seedling, and we watch them grow up together, side by side. And of course, you likely say, wow, that's nature. That's the course of nature doing its thing. They're growing harmoniously, effortlessly, and we can say, how are they doing that? How are my nails growing? How is my hair growing? How is my heart beating? I don't know. We can relinquish the how. See, the self wants to try to control the how, try to determine the how, try to decide upon the how, as if it knew, when really the knowing is beyond mentation and intellectualization and speculation. The knowing is that sense of connection. For you are not separate from that tree seedling or that petri dish with fungi. The intelligence that operates everything around us, that is us, that is nature, that is expressing as nature, simultaneously interwoven within it and beyond it. It's at one with it, and at the same time, it's transcendent to it. It's beautiful. It's ever blissful. It's eternal. And it's the true you. It's the true us. There's no sense of separateness. that which surrounds us now, wherever you are, whether you're in an office, whether you're out surrounded by trees. It's self-same presence, that self-same awareness that's equally present everywhere. Before you look out around you and grab at it, throw a label on it, project onto it, before you try to control it, simply be aware of it, be conscious of it, look at it, listen to the tree, try to really, and don't try, simply listen to the tree. Listen to it grow slowly. Listen to the wonderful leaves swaying all around me. You can listen intently and closely and acutely and harmoniously and lovingly and peacefully without feeling like a separate identity, without feeling like you're separate from it. You can see that you are really the intelligence, that same intelligence that is within me, within everybody, with everything, not just the body, not just the human being, but it's in the leaf, in the bird, in the bee, in the tree. Of course, there's varying degrees, various expressions of the self-same intelligence. Nonetheless, we're never separate from it. There's never a sense of separateness. And I know you feel this. You feel this connection. You feel this connection. You feel this connection. Repetition. 3 times. The Holy Trinity. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's in terms of Christianity. But we need not get hung up on a certain religion and identify with a certain name, label, identify as a Christian. We can say that, we can see that we are an expression of that self-same awareness, that silence that's ever present. You can listen to the tree growing. You can listen to the river. You can listen to loud music with that same silence, that sense of peace inwardly. You can be sitting in a busy room, a noisy room, seeming chaos all around you. But you can close your eyes and tune in to that silence, that peace that's ever present, that's holding all of it together eternally. And it's blissful. And it's always accessible, wherever you may be, whoever you may intellectually conceive yourself to be. Of course, these roles and labels have a significance in the world. They have a purpose. But we want to be able to compartmentalize them and to be able to disentangle from them so that we can go out in nature and simply enjoy and sit in the presence and silence and allow that bliss to flourish. You can call it meditation, you can call it whatever, but it's simply grooving with the eternal blissful moment. You can allow the noise, the sound, to play with your eardrums. It's very enlivening. It's very fun. Personally, right? I like it better than watching TV. Just getting out in nature and listening to the sounds all around me. I mentioned TV in the last video, and you know, had some bugs competing for my attention. Some buzzing insects, right? Talk about sound. Can really allow that buzzing to be blissful. You can feel that even with the eyes open, right? You don't have to close your eyes to feel that sense of connection. But as I was saying, I mentioned TV in the last video, and I want to speak a little bit further on that. It just came to mind, and this morning I was sitting out in the sunlight, meditating, and the topic of today's video came to mind, and I'm grateful. I intentfully meditate, and I'm in a fasted state intentionally because I want these videos to resonate, and I want to be operating from a lighthearted, joyous, and blissful frequency so that, it can potentially transfer. You can feel that too. But I was sitting out in front of the sun this morning, meditating, and I was thinking about TV and the difference between surrendering to a false light, that of the TV. It's low frequency, programming us. It's called programming for a reason. Programming us with all sorts of ideas and concepts that may not be harmonious to allow us to tune into that presence. They may distract us from that, like never-ending, endless programs going on in the consciousness, on the surface, of course, seeming to prevent us from tuning into that deeper intelligence, that silence that's always with us nonetheless, no matter how much seeming chaos is on the surface, whether it be our consciousness or that which is around us, whether inwardly or outwardly. But I was sitting out in front of the sun meditating and absorbing the photons, the real light, surrendering this organism to the light of the sun, that which nothing on earth could live without, right? That petri dish and that tree seeding, and you as a baby growing, all under that same time-lapse camera, are getting nourishment from the sun. The plant is getting nourishment from the soil, the sun, whereas you are getting nourishment from your mom, which is getting nourishment from the plants, the food, which come from the earth, that are in turn getting nourishment from the sun. And if we track back, we can see that, everything is not only deeply and intrinsically and harmoniously connected, but it also simply is in the moment, now, as I record this sound, as you listen to it now, is the awareness that you are. You're simply aware of what is being said. And in the end, you'll still be that awareness. Even on the deathbed, there is no death. That's something I want to speak on as well, that this organism wishes to express. And I say I, it's not a sense of separateness, but this organism, as it is connected with all the other organisms and the other expressions of awareness, and that self-same intelligence. I was having a conversation with my grandfather recently. Something in my heart told me to speak with him because he's on his deathbed. He's on his way out. Theoretically, of course, he's still moving around, but I I kind of intuitively know that the only reason he's still kicking is because he has a fear of death. Very identified with, you know, being a separate entity, so to speak. So something within me told me to speak with him and just to share my near-death experience with him and to let him know that very lightheartedly and peacefully from a space of silence so that it could transmit to him even if he wasn't consciously aware of it. A deeper part of him knows it. And I was talking to that part of him, that part of us. And I basically told him, not gonna speak it verbatim, but essentially I said, there really is no death. There can't be. You can only be afraid of death if you identify as a body, a seemingly separate entity. But that awareness that is us lives beyond the body. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed. Of course, some of us may see that as an intellectual concept, but it's the truth. We can ask ourselves questions, so many questions. And such questions, for some of us, they may come and go. However, for others, they may inspire us on a conquest, a mission, to discover the truth, to really go within and do some soul searching. Why am I here? What am I doing? What is my purpose? What is this awareness that is aware of the thoughts that surface? It's aware of the birds singing their song so harmonious. That same love that's in the kitty that purrs, the dog that wags its tail, the dog that's jumping on you, even though you might not like it when you get home. Grandma, a while ago, I was living there, she would, get down, get down. I try to say, the dog today is loving you, jumping up on you. It wants your affection. It wants you to return that, reciprocate that. And you're yelling at to get down. It's happy to see you. And that's what I feel. And that's what I mean about that sense of disconnection. To be so out of tune. To feel detached from the world around us. To feel as if we need to control it. Or to not understand that the dog jumping on you is actually, a welcoming. It's a warm thing. Not something we need to be controlling. It's that same love that's in the bird singing, the kitty's tail that's wagging, or the dog's tail that's wagging. Of course, the kitty's tail might wag too. Certainly, my cat's does it sometimes. Right now, I let her go too. Actually, mentioned that briefly. I dropped her off at the grandparents because I think it's really good for all of us to spend some time alone, completely alone. Spend some time with you, for you, and no distractions. And of course, I love her so much. It's an expression of nature, it's an extension of myself. However, lately she's been like the buzzing insect's been competing for my attention. It seems that she's always kind of like, look at me. And, you know, I need not distractedly be having my attention pulled in her direction constantly, trying to focus wholeheartedly on my purpose. Anyways, so I dropped her off and I told the grandma, I'm like, listen, if you could just watch her for a couple weeks, take care of her well, showed her the routine, and I would appreciate that greatly because I need some time for me. We all do. We all need to value ourselves and our time and our attention and our energy. We need to take some moments to sit quietly, to simply be the loving witness of all that surrounds us, the eternal moment, as the self same awareness that never leaves us, that is our sense of guidance. It protects us, and it leads us, and it guides us, and it directs us, and it loves us wholeheartedly, eternally, whoever we may be, whatever the label, whatever the personal identity. It's impartial. The heartbeat. Simply put your hands on your heart. Wow. How? What's causing that right now? I don't know. That's one of the best things we can admit. Kind of humble ourselves before God, before the presence. I don't know. Because when we think we know, it's again the self, with its collection of memories and personal history and identity. And that seeming knowing is what causes that sense of separation, that disconnection from the bliss, the eternal presence that is ever silent, that is utter stillness. Emotion is on the surface, is an expression of consciousness. However, the awareness is simply a watchfulness rooted in stillness, which again can be witnessed within and all around, even amidst seeming chaos. That's simply on the surface. We can intentionally put ourselves in those situations, which we can call controlled chaos, so that we can learn to simply sit and be peaceful within it. So I'm aware of the loving insect that is just doing its thing. It means no harm. It's not I don't take it personally that it wants to bite me and inject its needle in me. Although, of course, I, you know, don't particularly enjoy the feeling. But again, that's me thinking of myself personally, right? All the likes and dislikes, all the attractions and aversions. That has nothing to do with the awareness. That simply is whatever may be happening, regardless of what's happening. Also, to simply look at your hands. Wow. All that I've created. All that the Mother, Father, Creator that's in back of nature and us, as we are nature, has created, has come through a set of hands. Of course, I'm talking now, but in order to set the phone up, I, you know, came through the hands. Wow, they're powerful. Yours too. All of our hands are powerful. Anyways, I think that's it, guys. Hope you enjoy the weekend. Today's Friday, I think, right? I don't know, losing track of days, right? Don't really check the weather either. Kind of take it day by day, right? It's a surprise. Wow, today's a sunny day. Oh, today's a rainy day. I don't know. I don't need to check ahead of time. Why would I do that? It's, you know, again, attention. What I found is that by taking away rather than putting on, you can really tune into the presence. It's not found by constantly accumulating and consuming and taking in, but rather from withholding and from letting go. That allows us to feel that sense of lightheartedness, connection, rather than separateness. Rather than putting on, we can take away. And thus, feel that sense of reverence for the life all around us. It's a beautiful blessing to be alive now. God bless. See you in the next one. Although, this one is really identified as all of humanity, right? We are mankind. We are nature. We all have that element of individuality, but we need not confuse that as our fundamental identity. That which is lovingly aware of all that is, whatever the moment may entail. Now, I want to mention this too before I go. I may not make another video for a while. Of course, I may. I don't know. I'm completely surrendered, so whatever I'm guided to do. However, I'm going on a journey. And I'm not sure as if I'm going to be led to make a video for a while. So if you don't see any videos on the channel, I'll tell you why when I come full circle after the journey is over. Of course, it's always the journey, right? We're always living right now. The journey and the destination are one. I'm going for real this time. Love you guys.